What's up, y'all? Welcome to the show. Hope everybody out there is having an awesome day. In just a second here, man, we have yet another colossal Epstein bombshell that nobody is talking about, but I'm banging my head against the wall because everybody should be talking about this one. This is insane, the stuff that we just learned. So I'm going to break that down for you in a second. We also have Trump continues to shoot himself in his tiny little micro penis because the fact that he has no filter anymore is leading him to accidentally say the quiet part out loud, and it is getting catastrophic for his poll numbers. It's getting catastrophic for people's perception of him. So wait until you hear the new psychotic quotes that he's casually saying. Also, we now are in the position where MAGA's polling is the worst of any movement in history. The collapse of MAGA is the worst polling collapse in the history of polling. So cannot wait to break that down for you. We also have Stavros Halkias just absolutely cooks Joe Rogan without even trying or even mentioning his name. That's tremendous. And then also later on, we have Oliver Larkin is leading to stage 5 meltdowns among right-wing pro-Israel TV hosts. So you love to see it. Also, by the way, hey man, election day, get out there. If you're in Florida, get your ass out there. Vote for Elijah Manley. Vote for Oliver Larkin. Vote for Angie Nixon. Look, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. These are difficult districts. These are very difficult races. But you know, you run through the tape, bro. Run through the tape. Get out there and do your civic duty and try to get our leading lefties across the finish line. So you guys know the drill, man. Everybody do me a big favor and subscribe to the channel. You can also click that bell icon so you get a notification every single time a video drops. Also, support the show on Patreon. Thank you to everybody who does support the show on Patreon. We could not do the show without you. Remember, this is real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser, never done an ad read, never will. You guys made that possible by giving $1 a month or $2 a month or $5 a month. So thanks again from the bottom of my heart. Also, sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. Bro, we are working on some juicy guests, bro. I'm just going to say that. We're working on some juicy guests, and hopefully we're able to get them because it would be something special if we do. But sign up below on Substack for what we have coming up, and go sub to Corin's World and come hang out with us live on Monday nights. And with that being said, let's jump right in. So, on Friday, I did a live video for you where I broke down this new massive Epstein bombshell that came out, okay? So to refresh your memory on this, take a look. Look at this from the Leah files. She says, the government just gave a charity being sued for sex trafficking a $244 million no-bid contract to provide lawyers to migrant kids. Put it out Friday night with no announcement. They are keeping this quiet and for good reason. It's the Sound of Freedom charity, Our Rescue, formerly known as Operation Underground Railroad. They have 0 immigration lawyers, 0 federal contracts ever, and their lifetime federal history is 1 transaction, this one. So stop and think about that. A group that is under investigation for sex trafficking just got a $244 million no-bid contract from the Trump regime to provide a service that they've hired nobody to do that service. How insane is that? So they go, oh yeah, this is for migrant lawyers for kids or whatever. And then you dig into it and they haven't hired anybody that's a lawyer for migrant kids. None of them. If they're trying to do a cover-up and they're trying to get away with some shit here, it's the worst cover-up in the world because you guys are caught. Like, you guys are caught red fucking handed. So they say the kids' real lawyers, the government owed them $65 million and refused to pay unless they handed over the children's confidential files. They refused and their contract died. I spent 2 days following the money and it's dark. A Dubai shell company, the founder's family on the payroll, contractors listed as anonymous individuals, and a DC company registered 13 months before the contract with the CEO named as beneficial owner. They knew. So she has a full investigation on her Substack, and I dug a little deeper, and the Salt Lake Tribune also has a piece talking about the same thing here. So I don't know why this isn't bigger. I don't know why this hasn't made it to most of the mainstream media outlets, but we're looking at a situation here where the Trump regime is handing out nearly $250 million, potentially involved in the child sex trafficking. Okay? It's not like this is a oopsie, our bet. No, it looks like they're involved in it. That's what it looks like to me. I've been telling you guys, the thing we have to look out for the most when it comes to the Epstein files is Donald J. Trump, the president of the United States, one of the 10 Epstein co-conspirators. And this, among many other things, leads me to believe he might be an actual Epstein co-conspirator. But more on that in a second, because it's going to get even darker, okay? I also told you this on Friday. New FBI documents released via the Freedom of Information Act show the Department of Justice had a document flag list when it began reviewing Epstein files last year. There are 16 entries that are simply marked POTUS. So these things, basically redacted, simply marked POTUS, okay? Explicitly, hey, the reason we're holding this back is because the President of the United States is implicated. This should surprise nobody because, as you all know, he was in the Epstein files literally over 1 million times. His name is mentioned more in the Epstein files than Jesus' name is mentioned in the Bible, y'all. That's a fact. Another fact is when they only released 1 or 2% of the Epstein files, he was already listed in that bitch 38,000 times. But it gets worse. So here we go. We have a little segment here on CNN, Tap Jaker's show, and they're discussing the Epstein files. They say the following.
And some of this is handwritten notes from the FBI agents interviewing victims and also potentially even perpetrators, right?
Well, the FBI handwritten notes implicate Donald Trump.
FBI handwritten notes, redacted, directly implicating Donald J. Trump. Directly implicating them. What the DOJ hasn't produced. Handwritten notes FBI took during witness interviews, files in foreign languages, and explanations of redactions. But handwritten notes directly implicating Donald Trump.
Secret why they're doing this dance at the DOJ to not release them. They are handwritten notes by 4 different meetings with a victim who alleges when she was 13 she was sexually abused by Donald Trump. That's it.
Katie Johnson. This is the Katie Johnson allegation. Ladies and gentlemen, finish watching this segment, but as soon as you're done watching this segment, do yourself a favor. Type in Secular Talk Katie Johnson into the YouTube search bar and watch your mind get blown. Because there was a literal video of her where she told her story with her face, censored in a hotel where she was suing Epstein and Trump back in 2016. And she eventually dropped the case. The speculation is she dropped the case because she was either paid to drop it, right? Like settled out of court, paid to drop it, or she was threatened, okay? But she has a detailed story about what Trump did to her, what Epstein did to her, how she was trafficked, how Trump has a nipple torture fetish, how Trump directly raped her and another underage girl that she was with, okay? It's all out there. Nobody ever talks about it, but it's all out there. Go look at the Katie Johnson allegations. We covered it on Secular Talk. We went through virtually the entire interview, and I responded point for point. This is already out there, and again, it is criminally under-discussed. But now you have CNN alluding to it. And what did they do? They specifically tried to redact the handwritten letters from the Katie Johnson interview with the FBI. It's a specific cover-up over the Katie Johnson allegations. That's what this is. By the way, the plot's going to thicken even more in a second. But CNN now is talking about the Katie Johnson allegations.
Who alleges when she was 13 she was sexually abused by Donald Trump. That's the allegation. Now, the actual 302s, the official FBI reports, they've been turned over. After much hullabaloo and pushing by media, they were turned over. Why aren't you turning over these handwritten notes? Well, today, the prosecution said, well, you know what? They're duplicative. That's the first time they've ever said it. Before they said it was substantially similar to the 302. So what did the judge do today? He said that the handwritten notes must be turned over in camera, unredacted, so that he can check them out, because they continue to refuse to give them to the court.
And of course, President Trump denies any wrongdoing having to do with the Epstein files.
As he does.
Yes, as he does. Thank you so much, Katie.
It's all coming out. This is the definition of what's called a limited hangout. They released about 50% of the Epstein files, which is millions of documents, but they're still hiding the most damning parts. That's what you need to understand. They give you a little bit, and then they take out the most damaging stuff. They're still hiding. This stuff, they're still trying to hide it. Well, guess what? We have one of the documents floating around now. It was posted by the DOJ, perhaps accidentally, okay? Jim Stewartson says, wow, this is all very specific. And he's pointing to, this is one of the handwritten letters that was being held back by the FBI. More on it in a second, because it's very hard to read if you just go through it like this, okay? Someone at the DOJ is definitely getting fired for forgetting to redact Donald Trump's name from this file. So again, handwritten. So what does it say? Jeffrey Epstein, my testimony places Donald Trump as a person involved in the sale of young women to sex trafficking ring of Jeffrey Epstein and the Saudis. Let me repeat that. Handwritten letter to the FBI. My testimony places Donald Trump as a person involved in the sale of young women to the sex trafficking ring of Jeffrey Epstein and the Saudis. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? The major bombshell that it appears like they're hiding is that Donald J. Trump is one of the 10 Epstein co-conspirators. Let me ask you, how many of the 10 co-conspirators were arrested, were locked up, have cases on them? The answer is literally zero. This is the biggest cover-up in U.S. government history. I think it's fair to call this the biggest cover-up in U.S. government history. Every single Epstein co-conspirator they are protecting because they're all part of the billionaire robber baron cabal. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is going after Letitia James and James Comey and Don Lemon and some guy who put his hand in the reflecting pool and did nothing wrong. All of them, throw the book at them, but God forbid you actually traffic little girls, well, you're free to go. No problem whatsoever. The pedophile president's going to protect you. Till his dying breath, he's going to be there to protect you. It is incredible. Okay, but I'm still not done. Here's what the other note says. Donald Trump can stand in the driveway and have a clear view of me naked and on my knees on the mattress. Donald Trump says, you said she is pregnant. She doesn't look pregnant. George says she is. My dad took her to Army doctor, and he estimates she's 2.5 months pregnant. Trump asks, is she on drugs? George said yes. Trump said, we don't like for them to be pregnant because we lose money. Trump said, we don't like for them to be pregnant because we lose money. A doctor might could cause her to miscarry, or if the child is good looking, whether we could sail the baby. You said she is religious. The Saudis like the religious ones. We'll figure it out. You will take her. Holy fucking shit. It's all coming out. Listen, I'm one of very few voices that has been following this from the beginning, documenting it from the beginning, went through the Epstein files as they came out, and people are just now beginning to open their eyes to the fact that Jeffrey Epstein is on an audio tape saying that he was Trump's best friend for a decade. People are just now beginning to realize that Trump was on Epstein's plane at least 8 times that we know of, and that he did go to the island. People are just now beginning to realize that the first time that Trump and Melania had sex was allegedly on the Lolita Express, which was Epstein's pedophile plane. People are just now beginning to realize that Epstein knew the inner workings of Trump's first White House, and that he was clearly being fed information and a potential partner of Trump, and they were co-conspirators working together. Trump and Epstein literally shared a girlfriend. They shared a girlfriend. Trump was outed as having a nipple torture fetish. We learned in the Epstein files that Trump assaulted someone in Ivanka's bedroom in 1993 with her husband in the next room, and Epstein emailed Michael Wolff that. Okay? All of this is now coming out, but it's crazy to me how so much of this has not been focused on by our media. I mean, we got a little bit of focus when, what was it, the New York Times released how Trump wrote a creepy love letter to Epstein on his birthday, you know, basically implying that they're both pedophiles, right? But the deeper and darker secrets are now coming to light because, as I told you from the beginning, Epstein learned human trafficking from Trump's teenage modeling agency. By the way, why is it not a bigger deal that Trump was on Howard Stern back in the day and he said, oh yeah, since I own Miss Teen USA, I walk into the dressing room as they're naked and I can get away with that because I own the place. Literally bragging about perving out and creeping on teenage girls changing in a dressing room. And people didn't pound the gavel in and go, oh, okay, well that settles it. He's a pedophile. Nobody did that. Insane. What about those private events that were hosted at Mar-a-Lago where it was Trump and one other person, Jeffrey Epstein? What about those? We have Michael Wolff, who said that there was a picture Epstein showed him of Trump with a stain on his pants, with 2 girls, one of them bent over, pointing at him and laughing. As if to say he, like, nutted in his pants with these girls of an uncertain age. That's a direct quote from Michael Wolff. Nutted in his pants, and there's a fucking picture of it. By the way, you wonder why Israel gets literally anything and everything they want from Donald J. Trump. Because Epstein was Mossad, and that means there's a thick folder of all of these crimes that Trump was engaged in, right? And Netanyahu, all he has to do is hold that over Trump's head. You're going to do our bidding. You're going to attack Iran. You're going to do X, Y, and Z. Because if you don't, maybe the video of you with Katie Johnson will come out. You wouldn't want that to happen now, would you? I don't think you want that to happen now, would you? I don't know why I'm the only one that talks about, in 2011, Trump spent hours at Epstein's house with an Epstein victim, and you have a literal email directly from Epstein talking to somebody and saying, Trump's at the house right now with one of the victims and he's been there for hours. So that means, because we know all of Epstein's houses were bugged, that means there are definitely pictures and videos of him with underage girls. But I'll tell you what, the fact that these letters are now coming out and what they say is honestly leading me to believe that even everything that is accused on the FBI intake forms, that those are even likely to be true. Okay? So, for example, the Dallas limo driver who said that Trump talked to Epstein on the phone about abusing girls. The guy said, I wanted to pull over and beat the shit out of him, overhearing that phone call that he had with Epstein. Okay? Or all the stories about, what was it? He had a riverboat casino in Lake Michigan called the Trump Princess. And there were stories of Trump allegedly graping a girl named Dusty in the year 2000 from Oklahoma, and she was found with her head blown off, and the authorities thought that it wasn't suicide. And then allegedly this Trump Princess riverboat was used to, like, literally dump bodies out there, in Lake Michigan. Look, I'm telling you what's on. The intake forms are crazy. There's a lot of fucking intake forms with some crazy ass shit, but that's viewed as like the first thing you would do if you have a claim against somebody is you put on the FBI intake form and you give it to them, and then they are supposed to look deeper into it. And at first, there were a lot of those things, this one doesn't add up, this one doesn't add up, etc., right? But now, the more you see, now what we're learning is Trump was allegedly an Epstein co-conspirator, and he was directly selling girls to Epstein and to the fucking Saudis. So now, all of a sudden, all that other crazy stuff that they were accusing him of, maybe that's possible too. Maybe a lot of that other stuff is possible too. Anything is possible when Jeffrey Epstein literally had a drawer at his home that had exclusively pictures of Trump and his family in it. What does that tell you? If the #1 world's most infamous, notorious, pedophile child sex trafficker has a full drawer with nothing but your pictures and your family's pictures and documents about you, Epstein knew about all of the financing in Mar-a-Lago, including mortgage fraud that they were committing. What does it say that they were that close? What does it say? Mar-a-Lago was subpoenaed in the Ghislaine Maxwell investigation because they thought it was the hub of the child sex trafficking. And this is the president of the United States of America right now. So, massive bombshell. Share this far and wide. This should honestly, chill everybody to their core, what we're witnessing here. But the president of the United States is without a doubt a black male pedophile. Okay, and the extent of the crimes go above and beyond what anybody in their wildest imagination thought possible. Now go ahead. You go tune into Joe Rogan and whoever else is still part of the right-wing MAGA cuck sphere and see if they're talking about this. See if they're telling you the truth about Epstein and Trump. See if they're not going to do that. They're going to fucking hide it because they're part of that Epstein class and now everybody knows it.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all. So Trump is continuing to shoot himself in his dusty old, crusty-ass, tiny micro-penis. And honestly, it's getting worse and worse by the day. I've told you before that this is a guy who's gone from being a low-filter guy to a no-filter guy, and that is now coming back to bite him in the ass. And it's just getting worse. So let me start with this one. We had, a little press conference in the Oval Office the other day, and Trump crashed out at multiple points because he's a malignant narcissist and he's spiraling, and so he lashes out at minimal pushback. But first, let's start with this one, where he reiterates the absolutely delusional pipe dream that the U.S. is going to own and control the Strait of Hormuz. Here we go.
We're way ahead of schedule, and he's talking
about the Iran war. He just said, we're way ahead of schedule, talking about the Iran war, which he originally said would be over in 2 fucking weeks. We're well past that, you obese pedophile bitch.
We're way ahead of schedule, and many presidents are going to use it for many years to come. The country will have one of the greatest gifts it's ever received.
I like how we think of it. Oh, it's a gift to own the Strait of Hormuz. No, it is literally like stealing sovereign territory from an independent nation. It's a war crime, actually, is what it is, not a gift.
Last week you said that you would soon declare the Strait of Hormuz to be a territory of the United States. Could you elaborate?
Well, I just think it's a great idea. Yeah, I mean, we control it. We control it with the blockade.
Oh, yeah, we control it. Things are going swimmingly over there.
We have a blockade. We control it with the blockade. And I like the idea of declaring it a territory.
Why might you do that?
We have total control over the strait. Now, they can be a nuisance. They can put a mine in the water, and people don't like having mines hit their billion-dollar ships, et cetera. But the blockade has been very effective. And, we're taking out Now, maybe that will stop, or maybe it'll open up even further, but we're taking out millions of barrels of oil a week. If you look at the kind of numbers that we're doing, the Strait is open, and the oil prices are coming down, and they will continue to come down unless we decide to do something far more drastic than we're doing. Iran is in big trouble. They have 300% inflation. The country's a mess, and the military is totally defeated. Thank you very much.
Oh, all these comments are going to come back to bite him in the ass so hard. Okay, here's where he crashes out at a CNN reporter.
Mr. President, just scale back on those.
Quiet. You're very disrespectful in front of this young man. Okay? Don't you find her disrespectful? He understands. Quiet. Who are you with?
I'm with CNN.
Fake news. You're
just wanted
fake
to follow
news.
up on this.
You're a loud, boisterous person.
First of all, he's talking to a woman, of course, because he only speaks like this to women. But you're a loud, boisterous person. Says the loudest, most boisterous motherfucker on planet Earth. Is anybody else getting tired of this? You fake news, you fake news. Like, everybody knows this man is the most delusional, lying scumbag on the planet, right? Let's keep going.
Fake news. Be quiet. Be quiet. Be quiet. You're a fake reporter, and you report fake news. Go ahead.
Mr. President, is there enough food on the USS Lincoln?
Yeah, it is. That was a CNN fake report. The Lincoln has been out there for a period of time, good period of time. But over the years, we've had them out there much longer. I was at a group meeting, and an admiral came up to see me over the weekend. And it was at a big group, and he happened to be an admiral retired. He said, I've been on ships that are out there much longer than that, sir. And I know people on the Lincoln, they say it's beautifully maintained and beautifully taken care of. And other people went out and they found out to be true. It was fake news reporting from CNN.
Such a shameless, pathological liar. We have direct family members of soldiers on the boat who are panicked and calling into CNN and calling into MS Now and reaching out to every media outlet that will hear them. And they're saying they don't have enough food and the food is moldy and the shit is overflowing in the fucking toilets and they're running out of hygiene products and there's no tampons for the women. And like, everybody's miserable. There's mutiny is on the brink of happening. You have 6 people tried to jump overboard, dog. 6 people tried to commit suicide on the ship. He's like, actually, everything's great. Everything's great. Everything's wonderful. There's no problem. Nothing to see here. Oh, my God. Bro, I need you to remember, Trump is the kind of guy who literally was out there singing the praises of one of his companies a day before they filed for bankruptcy. He is the most obvious and shameful liar of all time. But all of this is catching up with him. All right, so here he is the day before that, and he yet again, shooting himself in his micro penis, talked about how the economy's actually great if you look at it from the standpoint of Wall Street. Oh, my days.
I have a lot of things that are happening, a lot of good things. The economy is doing unbelievably from the standpoint of Wall Street. We just set another record, as you know.
For the rest of this segment, every single thing you're about to hear, just know I am begging and pleading and screaming at Democratic politicians. Pay attention, clip this shit out, run it in ads. One more time. Listen again.
The economy is doing unbelievably from the standpoint of Wall Street. We just set another record.
The economy is doing unbelievably from the standpoint of Wall Street. Imagine playing that over and over and over and over as everybody listening is sitting there going, I can't afford gas. I can't afford groceries. I'm in credit card debt up to my fucking eyeballs. And you're talking about the economy is great from the standpoint of Wall Street. Fuck Wall Street and fuck you. How about that? All right. Yet again, asked about the USS Lincoln, where they're near mutiny because they've been out at sea for way too long and there's no more supply lines and they're running out of shit and they're losing their mind. Here we go.
Family members of U.S. service members are concerned about the conditions on board the USS Lincoln.
Well, no, that ship is moving. No, they're not.
The family members are concerned. No, they're not. No, they're not. This is how you know he actually has dementia, is that he literally sounds like a petulant child who was caught with, like, chocolate all over his lips with his hand in the literal cookie jar going, I didn't have a cookie. You had a cookie. I didn't. No, they're not.
No, they're not. That ship is moving right now, or very shortly, and it's being replaced with another very similar ship.
Has the deployment's gone on too long?
No. Not nearly long enough. Thank you, everybody.
Has the deployment gone on too long? He says, no, not nearly long enough. I need you to understand, this man learned everything about how to act in this world from a guy by the name of Roy Cohn, who was a closeted gay man and a mafia lawyer, okay? And one of the things he taught Trump is never, ever, 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 ever admit fault about anything and always go on the offense, always be aggressive. And that has served Trump remarkably well as a politician, just bulldozing through every single scandal. However, we are now reaching the limits of that strategy's ability to keep everything under wraps. Because the fact of the matter is, we've hit a boiling point, and we're going to do a segment in a little bit on how his poll numbers are like catastrophically bad. And when everything around you is failing, when the whole system is failing, everything's collapsing, everybody's furious, and you still are acting like this, you are sowing the seeds of your own demise. Because now, I mean, again, look at what has happened to these innocent soldiers. I mean, look at what's happened with immigrant soldiers who were rounded up by ICE and deported. And now you have people, the family members of these sailors are now saying, oh, we're done with the military. As soon as this deployment's over, it's a wrap-ski. We're done. We're not doing it. You're making it so nobody's going to want to be in the U.S. military. We aren't going to have any allied countries anymore because they all hate you and know they can't trust you. He is destroying this nation as rapidly as any leader has ever destroyed any nation. He's the Mad King. He's the Mad King. And we're all witnessing it. So what else do we got? Well, how about this one? I'm sure this one's going to go over well, talking about what he was going to do with gas prices versus what he says now on gas prices.
We will become energy independent shortly after, but start also on day one, drill, baby, drill. We're going to bring your electric prices way down. We're going to bring your energy prices way down. Gasoline will be back to $2 and maybe even less than that. So I just say this. So for you to pay a tiny little bit more for your gasoline, just remember, you're doing it so that a very evil country cannot have, a country really, it's the #1 state sponsor of terror in the world. We don't want to have them have a nuclear weapon. So remember that when you have to pay a little bit more, you're at $4. It's okay. I mean, it's, I'll never apologize. I did the right thing. But you could, you know, if you didn't have.
The fucking brainless ogres in the audience are clapping for higher gas prices. I want you to sit with that for a little bit as you remember how we've called the Republican Party a fascist, terrorist, imperialist death cult. Now you know why we call it a fascist, terrorist, imperialist death cult. They are literally cheering for higher gas prices. And Trump saying, you're paying $4 a gallon. I'll never apologize for that. I'll never apologize. You got to pay a little more. So what? I'm not going to apologize. What he was saying a few years ago was, we're going to get your gas to $2 a gallon or lower. Now, yeah, it's $4 a gallon, but I'm never going to apologize. And they go, yeah, never apologize. We're pedophiles. We love pedophilia and bombing little girls in Iran. Yeah. Give me the Kool-Aid, sir. Let me drink it and kill myself with you. Yeah. This country has been taken over by a fucking cult, and you're witnessing it right here. Democrats, clip it out. Democrats, clip it out. I'm telling y'all, I don't know what the Democrats are waiting for. I should be seeing ads on my TV already with some of his commentary here. All right, how about this one? Prepare yourself, because I got a bunch of absolute fucking doozies in this one. Listen.
Plans for the housing bill, Mr. President? Are you?
I don't know. I think it's so unimportant. Here's what I would like to say. It's a yawn. Just about everything is a big yawn. I don't think about American financial situation. I don't think about anybody.
I don't think about Americans' financial situation. Hey, what about the housing bill? It's a big yawn. It's a big yawn. And he goes on to say, compared to the Save America Act, which is his attempt to steal a fucking election.
I don't care about the midterms. I love the inflation. I don't want to drive housing prices down. I want to drive housing prices up.
I don't want to drive housing prices down. I want to drive housing prices up. Democrats, please clip it. Please run it. Oh, my days. I'm telling you. In the same way that the part of his brain that regulates circadian rhythm has broken down, and so now he's always awake all night and he's sleeping all day during important meetings, now the filter is gone. So he just blurts out the thing that normally he would just keep in the back of his mind and spin it somehow. Okay? I don't think about Americans' financial situation at all. But I got an even better one. You guys remember this one? So here he is giving a speech to a bunch of Republicans. And he just says it. He just says the quiet part out loud. If a Democrat came out and said, hey, these fucking Republicans are crazy. They'd rather spend money on an illegal war to blow up a bunch of little girls than spend money for your daycare and your Medicare and your Medicaid, right? If a Democrat said that, it'd be, no, that's not what we're like. We don't do that. But here, accidentally, says it all. Here we go.
Because the United States can't take care of daycare. That has to be up to a state. We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare.
We can't afford daycare. We got wars to fight. Again, if a Democrat accused him and the Republicans of having that position, he'd be like, no, I didn't say that. Here he is literally exactly directly saying that. It gets worse.
You got to let a state take care of daycare, and they should pay for it, too. They should pay. They have to raise their taxes, but they should pay for it. And we could lower our taxes a little bit to them to make up, but it's not possible for us to take care of daycare.
It's not possible for us to take care of daycare, but it is possible to spend $1 billion a day to blow up schools and hospitals and bridges in a country that didn't attack us. You're asking for $1.5 trillion with a T for our Pentagon, which can't account for 63% of its money and failed 8 audits in a row, but you can't afford daycare, which is a motherfucking fraction of the money we spend enriching Lockheed Martin executives. Oh, hell no, son. Hell no.
It's not possible for us to take care of daycare. Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things, they can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal.
So anytime they want money for bombing innocent people and murdering them, anytime he wants money for his own little fucking vanity projects like the Epstein Memorial Ballroom, anytime he wants money, he gave a $620 million contract to his shitty son for a company he's invested in. Just looting the treasury. Anytime he needs trillions of dollars in tax cuts for the fucking Epstein class, the billionaire robber barons, he gets it. But daycare, Medicare, we got to cut all that, cut all of that. Run it, Democrats, run it. Could you imagine how hard an ad would go with all of these worst quotes of all time from Donald J. Trump? Oh, my days. Oh, my Lord. This is just, brutal. Absolutely brutal. Yeah, we're in uncharted territory now, y'all, and I think everybody knows it deep down.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So, Khanna gave a speech here at a DNC event, and man, did he make the point that everybody has been desperate for some politician to make for quite a while now. So listen to what he says, and then we'll break it down.
There is no reconciliation in America without accountability. The bankers who caused the great financial crash in 2008, they belong in jail. The officials who lied us into the Iraq War, they need investigation. The Justice Department should never have delayed the January 6 cases that led Trump back into power. And so here's what I can say. When we take back the House, when we take back the Senate, we subpoena, we investigate, and we prosecute. We hold accountable the powerful who stole from this nation, who doged this nation, and who kill innocent people on the streets in this nation.
I think this is the first Democratic politician who's out there saying in no uncertain terms, they're going to prison. We're locking them up. They're going to prison. This is not continuing. Because the biggest mistake Barack Obama made was not going after George W. Bush, not going after Dick Cheney, not going after the war criminals and the torturers, because then what happened was it became a matter of opinion whether or not we torture and violate the Constitution, whether or not we wage illegal wars against countries that didn't attack us, whether or not we abide by international law. It went from something that was set in stone and a matter of necessity to, well, reasonable people disagree. And if the Democrats want to not go to war and the Republicans do want to go to war, well, it is what it is. If Democrats say torture is bad and Republicans say torture is good, well, that's just a disagreement. But the problem is that never was the case. That never was true. It's always been one thing is criminal, one thing is not. And so the worst mistake Obama made was not locking up the Wall Street criminals and not locking up the war criminals from the Bush regime. And so here's Khanna saying we can't make that same mistake. We can't do it. We got to go after the ICE Gestapo thugs who've shot innocent people in the face, who are accused of doing slavery at their detention facilities, who also have concentration camps. These people need to be locked up. The killers of Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy, they need to be locked up. The killers of the over 50 people who've died in ICE custody, even people that were just denied their medicine, for example, who died, They need to be locked up. There's evidence that ICE may have lynched a guy, and the people who did it are walking free and still working with ICE. That's unacceptable. There's over 4,000 people missing because of ICE. That's unacceptable. It's all unacceptable. They got to go to prison. They got to get locked up. We need to abolish ICE because it's not a government agency. It's a Gestapo paramilitary. It's Trump's thugs doing crimes for Trump. They got to go, and we got to lock them up. It's abolish ICE and lock up all of the criminals who partook in this massive crime spree, the mass kidnappings, the abductions, the destruction of due process, the shitting on the Constitution, all of it. They all got to get locked up. The Doge criminals. People don't talk about Doge enough these days. People forget what it was like looking at the world's richest man who was a trillionaire with a T. That motherfucker was illegally hacking into the back end of our government and looting the treasury, cutting whatever programs he wanted to cut, all of it completely and utterly illegal and obviously illegal. Okay? Let's remember, it is Elon Musk who illegally cut pediatric cancer research. He illegally cut Meals on Wheels. He illegally cut the National Weather Service, which led to botched forecasts, which led to deaths. Okay? He got rid of this Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which made it so there's no longer anybody looking out for you, and so big financial institutions can rob you blind now. He cut the nuclear safety officials. They destroyed FEMA. They destroyed the Department of Education. All these things. Again, I want to reiterate, every single one of these cuts was completely and utterly illegal. They killed hundreds of thousands, eventually millions of people, because they cut all of U.S. aid. No more medicine for malaria, no more medicine for HIV in these developing countries. People died as a direct result of it. Elon Musk goes right to fucking prison. Stephen Miller goes right to fucking prison. Hamhead Homan goes right to fucking prison. Pete Kegsbreth, the Secretary of War Crimes, right to fucking prison. The people that are bombing innocent fishermen in the Caribbean and the Pacific, right to fucking prison. They killed somebody who was investigating the crimes that were committed in off the coast of Ecuador. Remember this? We just talked about this the other day. There was a big expose on this, that you had somebody investigating the crimes of the mercenaries and the U.S. Military criminals who were carpet bombing innocent fishermen, and then the person who was investigating it got killed. Like, what the fuck? It's all happening. And so we can't let them get away with it, because this is not a matter of disagreement. This is not a matter of opinion, okay? This is a matter of right and wrong. And so here's Khanna saying, in no uncertain terms, lock them up. Lock them up. There's something that, I said a while back, but I'm going to start reiterating it a lot more these days. Whenever people accuse leftists of wanting to abolish prisons, our response has to be, we're not going to fucking abolish prisons. That's where we're sending Donald Trump. That's where we're sending Elon Musk. That's where we're sending Stephen Miller, okay? I am a law and order leftist. I'm going to lock up all the war criminals. I'm going to lock up all the Wall Street criminals who are committing crimes over and over. I'm going to lock up all the ICE Gestapo thug criminals. I'm going to lock up all these white-collar criminals who are robbing people blind with various fraud schemes, and then Trump is pardoning them and pardoning them again. They're all getting locked up, every last one of them, okay? And that's what the message needs to be. So shout out to Khanna. He's 100% correct, and I want to hear every Democrat start talking like this.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all. So the polling collapse for MAGA has been absolutely biblical. This is, quite simply put, the worst polling collapse in history. Okay? So I'm going to walk you through this. I got a whole bunch of new numbers for you, and prepare yourself. Pucker your booty holes, because it's about to get wild in here, okay? So let's start with this. We're going to go over to CNN, and their data guys are going to lay out for us what happened with Hispanic voters and more. Here we go.
Questions is, this November, what will happen to some of those voting blocs that swung a little bit toward Donald Trump, toward President Trump in 2024? Will those groups who were away from him but swung toward him stay with him? With us now, CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton. One of those key groups is?
Hispanic men. Hispanic men. Donald Trump put up a historically strong performance for Republican candidate for president amongst Hispanic men. But the phrase this morning for President Trump is ay caramba, because look at these shifts. I mean, Hispanic men on Trump. In 2024, he won among Hispanic men by 10 points. Look now where his net approval rating is. Down he goes into the Gulf of Mexico, minus 41 points in an...
In my neck of the woods, we call that barbecue chicken, son. That's what we call that. There's no coming back from that. From plus 10 to minus 41?
Average of polls this year. That is, Johnny B, by my math, a 51-point switcheroo against the President of the United States. All of that movement that you saw, that historic performance that President Trump had amongst Hispanic men, adios amigos, goodbye, see you later. As Johnny B was telling me backstage, these numbers are bonkers.
I mean, that's a huge swing. A 51 swing is huge. What might be one reason? What is one issue area where we're seeing the impact of this?
Yeah, it's the economy. It's the economy. We're seeing this across the board, but you're specifically seeing it amongst Hispanic men. I mean, just look at these numbers here. Okay, Hispanic men on Trump in the economy. He was more trusted than Kamala Harris on the economy by 11 points. Look at this. You thought a 50-plus point swing was huge. Look at now. His net approval rating here is 49 points underwater in an average polls. That is a 60-point move away from the President of the United States on the issue that got him reelected to a second term. It really helped swing Hispanic men into the Republican column to a historic degree. And all of that movement, all that hard work that Republicans made and did for the 2024 election, it all is just basically gone at this point. A huge swing back against the Republican President Donald John Trump.
Okay, how might this manifest itself in the midterms?
Yeah, okay, so it is one thing that you're seeing these big moves among President Trump, right? You're seeing these big moves among Hispanic men for President Trump. But the key question is, will this actually matter when it comes to the ballot box? Because it's one thing to not like somebody else, but will you actually pull the lever for the other party? Just look at this. Okay, choice for Congress, Hispanic men. Republicans won him by 8 points. Look now, Democrats ahead by 20 points. So yes, what we're seeing amongst Hispanic men and their views of President Trump very much diving towards the negative absolutely look like they're going to have a massive impact on the midterm elections. Hispanic men now favoring the Democrats by 20. That is, as I finish this out, a 28-point swing against the Republican Party.
With young people and independents, it's the exact same story. Like, you know, Trump did historically well for a Republican when it came to young people. When it came to independents, he just, I think, won independents. Now they are so far gone. It is so over. I saw one poll that had his approval rating with young people at 19%. 19. I'm not sure I've ever seen a poll that low. Like, I've never, even George W. Bush on his way out the door when literally everybody hated him, he was like 25%. 19% support among young people in this country. Cooked, absolutely barbecued. Among independents, he's in the 20s. 20 some odd percent support. Okay, but I got more for you. Trump approval falls to presidency low. So we've been seeing different polls come out with different numbers, and he's hitting rock bottom in all the different polls. But like, for example, the other week, I believe it was a Bloomberg poll. He was at 38%. That was a low for them, right? The average of polls, Trump was at a 36% approval rating on his average of polls. Okay, well, his low was 30%. But now we have a new low in an individual poll. So President Trump's approval rating fell to 33%, the lowest of his presidency, according to a Reuters Ipsos poll. So among Reuters and Ipsos polls, 33 is a low, okay? About 64% disapprove of his performance. The Iran conflict is a major concern. 80% of Americans expect the U.S. involvement to continue for an extended period. The decline comes ahead of the midterms, with Republicans defending their congressional majorities. So a new low in a new poll, and that should probably drag the average down to maybe 35% average approval. We're getting to a place where we've never been, bro. We're looking at his average now is like what his approval was immediately after January 6th. Like, that's where his average is now. Okay, still got more. So take a look at this. When they ask young people age 18 to 34, okay, what do you think of socialism versus capitalism? Socialism was plus 10 favorable. Capitalism minus 28. Even 33% of young Republicans view socialism favorably, which almost matches the percentage that said it's unfavorable. 37% said unfavorable. That's insane. That's nearly an even split among GOP youth. So if the Democratic base is now pro-democratic socialism, which it just is, and you got the young Republicans are going, man, democratic socialism not looking all that bad, bro. You tell me what the future looks like in that scenario. But I got more for you. Here we go. Trump's top-line approval rating among Republicans is at 79% in YouGov's poll. That's a decline of 12 points from shortly after he took office. In that time, the percentage of Republicans who, quote, strongly approve of Trump has dropped more precipitously by 20 points. So 68% of Republicans, when he first got in there, said they strongly approve of Trump. Now that's down to 48%. And this is a record low for him among Republicans with support. Usually he's at 92% support among Republicans. He's down at 79% in this bitch. I'm running out of ways to describe how catastrophic and apocalyptic this is for Republicans. It is fair to call this polling Armageddon. It's fair to call this that. All right, ready? Then, this is an interesting poll done by Zogby. So they did a 2028 poll where they asked people, this is my favorite one, would you rather vote for a Democratic Socialist or a MAGA Republican? What was the result in that poll? 55% of the country said I would vote for a Democratic Socialist. 33% said I'd vote for a MAGA Republican in that head-to-head race. More than a 20-point win for a Dem Socialist over a MAGA Republican. That's wild, bro. That's wild. Now, when you changed it to MAGA Republican versus an establishment Democrat, the Democrats still won, but instead of winning by 22, they were winning by 18. Right? So not a bad performance for, an establishment Democrat, but obviously Democratic Socialist is more popular than establishment Democrat. But what did I tell you? This lines up perfectly with what I've been telling you guys all along, that the Democratic strategy of just run and hide and let Republicans destroy the country, that was going to work. It was going to work because everybody's going to look at Republicans and go, oh, they're evil. We hate them, right? But what did I say? I said, if they fight, then Democrats will win by even more. And that's what Democratic Socialist proves, that they're winning by more against a MAGA Republican than an establishment Democrat would. Okay. Then you also have Democratic Socialist versus an establishment Republican. That would be a close match according to these numbers. It would be 39-42 with Democratic Socialist winning. And then when you have establishment Democrat versus establishment Republican, it's another close race, but the establishment Democrat ends up winning by about 9 points. So that's a very interesting poll, the way that they put it together. However, I will say, there is no such thing as an establishment Republican that's not MAGA these days. MAGA is the establishment, right? There's no old school Mitt Romney or John McCain Republican anymore. And they were bad enough as it was. MAGA's worse, obviously. But, they're all one and the same now. They're all MAGA. They're all fascist. They're all authoritarian. They're all part of the kakistocracy and the oligarchy. So there is no distinction on that side, whereas there is a distinction among Democrats if they're more establishment Democrats or Democratic Socialists. All right. But still not done, because then I'll also give you this. Ready? The Democratic Socialist label, it's seen as positive by half of the party, more by younger and more liberal Democrats. It's not negative to other Democrats, though. It's more neutral. The term Democratic establishment is not met with much negativity within the party. Most call it positive or neutral. Okay, so when Democrats describe themselves as Democratic Socialists, that is, positive says 53%, the majority of Democratic voters. Only 12% say negative. So that's a big deal, bro. That's very important. We're at the point now where it's viewed as generally a good thing if you say I'm a Democratic Socialist. I think people hear that and they look and they go, oh, that's like Bernie, and I like Bernie. Bernie's great. I think that's how they think when they hear that. Okay. CBS YouGov poll, compared to what you want, is the Democratic Party today about as progressive as you want, not as progressive as you want, or more progressive than you want? So 47% say about as progressive as they want, 44% say not as progressive as they want, but here's the most important part. Only 8% of Democratic voters say the party is more progressive than I want. And it's important to point out, this is what 90% of the pundit class pretends that's the obvious position, that most Democratic voters go, oh, please move further right. And that's bullshit. The Jonathan Chaits, the Matt Iglesiases, the Bill Mahers, all those people, they're the Democratic Party has gone crazy. They've gone too far left. Only 8% of Democratic voters agree with you. Only 8%. Hold this big, fat, juicy motherfucking L. Okay? And then also, this one is, we'll end on this one, and this one is probably the most important one in many respects, if you ask me. So a CBS and YouGov poll. Which of these words describes how you feel about your party? So among Democrats, 58% say Democrats are weak. Damn. Only 45% of Republicans call their own party weak. In other words, a majority of Republicans know their party's not weak. Say what you want about it, they're not weak. They're fucking aggressive, they're strong, and they just do whatever the fuck they want to do and deal with the consequences later. But Democratic voters know their party is weak and doesn't fight. Okay. Strong. 46% of Republicans describe their party as strong. Only 27% of Democrats say their own party is strong. That's terrible. The message is loud and clear here. Fight, Democrats. We need you to fight. We need you to stand up against MAGA. We need you to actually, go to the mat for some shit. You know, effective. 41% of Republicans say their party is effective. Only 34% of Democrats say their party is effective. In other words, you motherfuckers are getting rolled over and over by the Republicans. Reasonable. 49% of Democrats say their party is reasonable. 42% of Republicans say their party is reasonable. That's funny because a majority of Republicans admit their party's not reasonable, even though they vote for them. Oh, my days. And then extreme. 58% of Republicans say their party is extreme. Only 48% of Democrats say their party is extreme. But the most important point here is strong and weak. Democratic voters are screaming, like, yes, you guys are weak. You need to be stronger. So man up and, like, get to it. But anyway, there you have it. The MAGA polling apocalypse is in full effect. It is catastrophic. I don't think they have any idea what to do being in this situation. And at this point, bro, I got to be honest, I think it's kind of unsalvageable. I think the bet is made. Even if Trump were to end the war against Iran and gas prices were to drop, 30 cents or whatever in a short period of time, I don't think it would matter. I think that the damage is done. People have been put through hell. They're tired. They're worn down. Things are way too expensive. They're not happy. And so, like, there's going to be a big-ass change. It's going to happen. But then that opens up a whole nother conversation, bro. A whole nother conversation about what the fuck are the Republicans going to do when they get their fucking cheeks clapped from Democrats. And Lord only knows, but they're almost certainly going to put their thumb on the scale and try some trickery and bullshit. So we need to be prepared for that.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all, so this clip right here, I got a couple clips for you. They're fucking awesome. So Stavros Halkias is a comedian who's definitely left-leaning. He formerly was a host of the podcast Come Town, and he's an interesting guy because he's sort of in the Rogan sphere, or at the very least Rogan sphere adjacent. He knows all those guys. He's friends with all those guys, but also he just has better politics and he's more honest, and like he's willing to sort of call out their bullshit to their face, but also like when they're not there as well. So he sat down for an interview with the New York Times and ended up fucking ethering Rogan and the entire Rogan sphere without even trying and without even breaking a sweat, okay? So let's start with this one. Here he's going to talk about the Riyadh Comedy Festival, where a bunch of, like, well-known, famous comedians decided to ruin whatever legacies they had by taking a bunch of blood money, okay? I'm thinking of Bill Burr, who took the blood money, then was gaslighting everybody relentlessly as if he did nothing wrong. Meanwhile, there's clips of him going after Beyonce for performing for Gaddafi's kids or some shit in Libya. Did the same motherfucking shit. Blood money from the Middle East. And then called everybody racist for criticizing him. Preposterous, okay? Dave Chappelle went there and said, I'm more free to speak here than I am in the U.S. Like, all these people who a lot of us looked up to, and then it's like, oh, you're all total pieces of shit and massive sellouts, and you're lying to yourself about it. Okay, so here's what Stavros has to say. It's important to point out, he did not go, and he did not take the money. Him and Shane Gillis said, I want to go ahead and pass on this one. Let's listen.
I could see a way where these people that don't really think about, they get a lot of these. And look, let's be honest, when you're at the top, you think that's the most evil place some of these guys have performed? You don't think they've done fucking private corporate events for fucking Northrop Grumman or some shit? But they, you know what I mean? Like, and by the way, on record, I would never do any of that shit. But I think when you're at the highest levels, you start to get a little comfortable with pure evil, because that's where all the money leads, right? Anyone who's successful, it's like you can't wash your hands of this if you exist in this society. And the more successful you get, the closer you get to the fucking whoever the Illuminati is, right? Like, and so I think I could see how it just becomes normalized. It doesn't make me doubt myself at all, because I know it was fucking wrong to do that. I don't care what those counter arguments are. And I've heard people like, well, we're bringing freedom. And it's like, no, it's like, and they're like, well, we're evil. It's like, yeah, America is a fucking, our foreign policy since World War II has been ruining the world. I mean, there's no way to look at it any other way, in my opinion. We intervene everywhere. I mean, from this new Iran war, it's like the real kickoff of America fucking the world up was, I think you could trace it back to them deposing Mossadegh. Like, I really think the world looks a lot different.
Didn't know this is where we were going to go today, but go in.
But I'm just saying, like, yes, that I see their point where, well, you perform in America, but it's like, but I'm not performing for fucking Donald Trump and his kids. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like...
And the criticism is that it's culture washing, that it allows them to launder their
It would be like
reputation.
doing an ICE benefit.
Does he watch the show? Because that's exactly right. Like, that's the point that we made 1,000 times over, which is like people say, oh, yeah, well, sure, we took blood money, but everybody takes blood money. If you perform in the U.S., you're taking blood money. And the point is, Well, no, because we're not performing for the Trump regime. We're not performing for the U.S. government. We're not performing for ICE. We're not performing for, as he pointed out, the military-industrial complex or whatever the fuck. You're going to, like, a comedy club in L.A. owned by, some family or whatever. Like, no, that's not the same thing as I'm going to perform for the Saudi royals who just beheaded somebody for their free speech 7.5 minutes ago. That's totally different. Totally different. It's cope, and everybody knows it's cope. And he's pointing it out. And this is somebody from within the comedy circle calling out others in the comedy circle. So my guess is, Dave Chappelle doesn't like this. Bill Burr doesn't like this. But it stings because they know he's fucking right. Especially because Bill Burr, there was a while where he was viewed as the truth teller. He was viewed as the regular guy sticking it to the elites. But he sold out for some blood money. Chappelle, same shit. He was known as the guy, he won't sell out. He's the guy who walked away from a multi-million-dollar contract because he didn't like the direction the show was going, and he felt like he was feeding racism as opposed to, like, making fun of racism, and white people were laughing at him, not with him, and all that stuff. So he was the uncorruptible guy until he decided, I'm going to sell out for Saudi Arabia, right? And so now here we are, and Stavros is one of the only ones left telling the truth. To be fair, it was Shane Gillis didn't take the money from Saudi Arabia. Rogan also didn't take the money from Saudi Arabia. But I think that he realized, like, I'm getting enough shit online these days, and I'm already losing my status rapidly. So this would only speed up the demise of my show. So I'm just gonna go ahead and he doesn't know he needs the fucking money, right? He gets $1 bazillion from fucking from Spotify. He does the ad reads. I mean, he's swimming in cash. But he also decided to not take the money. But let's continue here because he's got some more. So here he's gonna go after what he calls both sides bullshit, which. Again, does he not watch the show? This is like one of my main things. All right, let's keep going.
Being dogmatic on either side is, again, I don't want to do the both sides bullshit because that's just not true. One side is worse than the other, objectively speaking, and that's a big problem that we have culturally too, is thinking like, but these are both crazy people. It's like, I really don't believe that, especially not in this moment. One side's disappearing people and one side wants children to go to have health care. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's equivalent. And maybe at different times, even the first Trump administration, I could maybe humor that argument, but we're past that. Yep. And so earlier it was just like, yeah, I think people will listen to me because we do have a lot in common. And so I don't even think about it that way. It's not calculated. It's just that a lot of stand-up comics happened the last couple years to have some of the dumbest opinions on earth, and they are my friends. And I'm like, all right, guys, can we fucking talk about this?
Because you get the comedian pass. Like they have no doubt that you're like pro censorship. Like you like an offensive joke as much as the next guy.
A lot of comedians have the dumbest opinions on earth, and a lot of them are my friends. Yeah, gee, I wonder who that's about. It's all of the fucking MAGA dick riders in the Rogan sphere who had on J.D. Vance and sucked him off, or had on Trump and sucked him off, didn't ask him tough questions. And he's sitting there watching it going, are you guys insane? And he does this thing where he's like, look, I just want to be funny. Like, whatever happened to just being funny? You guys think you're taking some cultural stand and like acting like you're victims because you can't say slurs on stage. He's like, fucking spare me. Spare me. You're not heroes. You're not victims. You're a bunch of assholes who got, whipped up into a frenzy and hopped on the MAGA bandwagon and helped usher in fucking fascism. And the thing that makes this sting so much is that he would say it to their face, and he's saying it to the New York Times podcast. And they can cope and seethe and whine and bitch and moan. But the fact of the matter is, it stings because it's true. He's right about it, and they know deep down that he's right about it. Then he goes on to say the quiet part loud here, which I love, which, again, I wonder who this is about. He goes, I don't want the fucking president on my podcast. Here we go.
I don't fucking want the president on my podcast.
You don't want to hang
Mayor,
out.
Mayor, you're a little evil, sure.
Yeah.
But
he says that because he liked Zoran, supported Zoran. I think he may have even done an event for Zoran. Well, good for him. Zoran's been fucking killing it. Good for him. Zoran's been like filling all the motherfucking potholes in New York City and doing universal child care and raising taxes on the rich. And he's got a fucking 69% approval rating, which is just amazing for anybody. Usually politicians get in there, their approval rating collapses. He went in there and his went up because he's actually delivering for people. So he's saying, yeah, a mayor, sure, but like Donald J. Trump on your podcast, bro.
haven't gotten.
And luckily, he can't be president.
And he can't be president, so we're good.
Ceremonial job, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, barely doing anything. No.
It's ribbon cutting.
But there's
and Knicks games.
Yes, there's a hierarchy to authority that, like, you shouldn't want to be around.
Sure.
Like, these people are bad.
You're taking you're taking stand-up comedy back to its roots.
Yeah.
Don't hang out with the president.
No, the president is a fucking piece of shit, no matter who it is. Like, that's almost always true.
And look, if you're going to, and this is another point Stavros makes at a different point, he says, if you're going to interview these people, like, you gotta go at them, right? Like, Crystal has had on a lot of politicians on Breaking Points, and she is committed to the principle of, like, I'm going to grill them and, give them tough, serious and real and fair, but tough questions, right? Now, every now and then you get a politician where, like, they're just not as wrong on a lot of stuff, so you don't have as many tough questions. Okay, that's fair, but it's a general adversarial perspective. But if you're a comedian and you're inviting on the fascist, terrorist, war criminal, rapist, pedophile president, and you got nothing fucking difficult to say, you're giggling with him about shit, you're, like, laughing, I mean, okay, you're not really a comedian. Like, it's not funny, it's not interesting, you're also ill-equipped because you don't have the journalist tool bag and the reporter tool bag or even the political pundit tool bag to reach into. So really, all you're doing is helping to facilitate the fascist takeover of this country. So this is him absolutely cooking Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, Tim Dillon, Andrew Schultz, all these people who had on Trump or J.D. Vance or both, or have on Elon Musk or any of these fucking Epstein-class pedophile billionaires, have on all these fucking assholes and sit there, patty cakes, bakers, man, bake me a cake as fast as you can. You're fucking sitting around shooting the shit with, like, the most evil people imaginable who've rigged the government and are screwing over regular people. It's enough. It's fucking enough. It's enough. He cooks them without even trying, without even breaking a sweat, without even saying any of their names. I'd like to see a lot more of this exact sort of shit.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You want to.
All right, y'all. So it is election day. Get out there and vote for Oliver Larkin if you're in Florida's 25th district. You could also vote for Elijah Manley if you're in Debbie Wasserman Schultz district. Angie Nixon, of course, you could vote for her. She's running for Senate. So you can vote for her just in the state, period. Get out there and vote. Do your thing, man. Look, I'm under no illusions. Florida's a tough state. The districts are tough districts. But, man, it would be amazing if we could somehow pull off even just one of these races. Would be fucking tremendous, okay? So, super important stuff. But I wanted to... He's been killing it. Oliver's been killing it lately. He's been going on Fox News and busting him up. Fox News keeps platforming him because they feel like, oh, he's easier to beat than Moskowitz. They're wrong, of course, but it's like the Pied Piper strategy in reverse. And so they're like propping him up. But this shit could motherfucking backfire, bro. It could absolutely positively motherfucking backfire. So we shall see. But this is classic Fox News, like bring on the DSA guy to beat them up. But they don't know how to because they're idiots. Here comes Oliver on one of the Fox News weekend shows here, and Tomato Lorenzo is going to try to grill him about communism, and you're a communist, and how dare you, and Oliver handles this fucking brilliantly. Let's start with this. Here we go.
So, Oliver, listen, we appreciate you coming on the show. It takes some guts to do so, so I want to say thank you and a lot of respect to you for doing it. My mother-in-law fled Cuba because of the socialist communist takeover. So I know in your district there's a lot of folks like my mother-in-law, a lot of Cubans, a lot of Venezuelans that left socialism, that fled communism, and it kind of sounds like you want to bring it all right here to the USA and to Florida. How do you square that with a lot of those constituents in Florida that have a similar story?
I think what a lot of our constituents that have come from places like Cuba or Nicaragua or Venezuela that have seen United States foreign policy, we've had a blockade on Cuba and a trade embargo for 70, 80 years nearly. And what we've seen in that time is the repression of trade and of really with our closest trade partner. And we see a repression of political and civil rights that we actually see emanating from the Trump administration right now. We see crackdowns on freedom of speech. We see Representative Randy Fine and Laura Loomer trying to cancel our rally last night, along with corporate Democrats like State Representative Michael Gottlieb. So I think the conditions that a lot of people flee places like Cuba, coming to America looking for a better life, it's actually quite scary to see a Republican administration that's going after after our freedom of speech and freedom of expression, and we're fighting for the American dream.
Oh, god damn, son. Oh. Well played, Oliver. Well played. Yeah, like, if you're going to do the whole, oh, the socialism and the communism and the authoritarianism is taking over, bro. Oh, yeah? Tell me again about authoritarianism as Donald Trump is literally building concentration camps and shoving immigrants in there and shooting anti-ICE protesters in the face and not even arresting the people who do it. Tell me more about authoritarianism as Trump has rounded up people who've criticized Israel or protested the genocide or wrote an anti-Israel op-ed like Rumeysa Ozturk or Mahmoud Khalil. Tell me more about authoritarianism as Trump sues every media outlet that says stuff about him that he doesn't like, and he sued pollsters over polls that he doesn't like. Tell me more about authoritarianism, please. I would love to hear it. Like, this is a deeply authoritarian regime. Everybody knows it, and we're supposed to fear DSA authoritarianism when they're the ones who are actually trying to deliver more democracy. That's all democratic socialism is, by the way. Just think of it as more democracy. We just want democracy in more parts of our life. That's it. That's all it is. And people try to fearmonger about that. No, I think the thing to fearmonger about is the fucking fascism that's currently sweeping the country. Thank you very much. So he handled that brilliantly. That was a masterclass. Well, he also went on another show this week in South Florida. And boy, oh boy, is this a hilarious clip, because this so-called journalist is really going to step in shit and fail miserably and faceplant, and it comes back to haunt her. Let's listen.
Another big issue that's going to be in 25, where I think the statistic is 1 in 4 voters in D25 is Jewish. You have said you want to essentially defund Israel. Israel, one of many countries that the U.S. contributes to. How are you going to explain to your Jewish voters that you would like to essentially put Israel in an existential threat?
I look at this as making sure that we actually practice democracy abroad as well as at home. And when the nation-state law in Israel was passed in, I believe, 2018, that created a much more tiered system of citizenship that privileges Jewish citizens above Palestinians, I don't believe it is in the United States' interest to support that. And we've also got our own laws on the books, the Leahy laws that prohibit the military funding from the Department of Defense and Department of State from providing
Let me just stop you for 1 second. That actually is factually incorrect. There was not a Palestinian state in 18. What I want to
He didn't say there was, you fucking jack weasel. What was that?
talk about is the here and now of the state of Israel exists in 1948, which actually was supposed to be a two-state solution and then rejected by the Arab states. But here and now,
the Hasbara.
Large chunk of the funding that goes to Israel is defensive funding for Iron Dome, or rather defensive, and then military funding greatly increased after the October 7th massacre. So I guess my question to you is, taking away Israel's money, which actually is a much more complicated equation because Israeli tech and the economic benefits that come back to the U.S. for job creation is all part and parcel of that. Which
we give Israel billions of dollars, but really we give it to them because it's like good for us, bro. That's why we do it. You know what I'm saying?
We'll talk about, but taking away a defensive mechanism for a state which has an existential threat all around it stated by...
Oh my days. Bro, Israel is the existential threat to Iran, to Gaza, to the West Bank, like to Lebanon, who they're currently stealing half of the country. It is insane to use these talking points in 2026. You have to be so uneducated, so ignorant on the basic facts of the Middle East to say with a straight face that Israel is facing an existential threat from others, as they are the existential threat, and they brag about fighting a war on, what, 7, 8 different fronts?
Terrorists who want to annihilate it. You're essentially taking away defense. And I think that's a very important thing for viewers in your district, because that's what they want to hear you talk about. Why?
Israel is committing a genocide in
That's
Gaza.
incorrect. That is factually incorrect.
It has been regarded by the United Nations and Amnesty International and even Israeli human rights organizations, including B'Tselem. There's
the definition of genocide in the UN has said this, does not apply to what many people might think as a disproportionate wartime action. That's what that is in many people's minds. Genocide is a very specific thing, actually genocide being committed against Jewish people.
Oh my fucking word. Oh no. All right, so I had to do this because the claim from her is just so preposterous that it's worth going through this. But here's the international human rights organizations that say Israel is committing a genocide. Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, Doctors Without Borders, okay? B'Tselem, which is the top human rights organization in Israel, Physician for Human Rights from Israel as well. Then there's UN bodies, so the UN Independent International Commission of Inquiry on the Occupied Palestinian Territory, the UN Special Committee to investigate Israeli practices affecting the human rights of the Palestinian people. Then you have groups like Lemkin Institute for Genocide Prevention, Genocide Watch, International Association of Genocide Scholars. They came out and said, yes, Israel is committing a genocide. Then you have Palestinian groups such as Al-Haq, Al-Mizan Center for Human Rights, Palestinian Center for Human Rights, Defense for Children International, Palestine, Euro-Mediterranean Human Rights Monitor, International Federation for Human Rights, European Center for Constitutional and Human Rights, Jewish Voice for Peace. There's all sorts of aid organizations like Action Aid, Islamic Relief Worldwide, Medical Aid for Palestinians, CARE, Save the Children, Norwegian Refugee Council. They all call it a genocide. I mean, the list goes on here. This isn't even a full list. But the fact of the matter is, I genuinely don't know what more evidence people would need to come to the obvious conclusion that this is the world's clearest genocide of all time, right? It is like every organization that would look into such a thing have said it's a genocide. And then on top of that, even if none of them have commented on it, they live stream that bitch. I would, wake up and scroll through my phone and say, oh, that's a blown up child with an arm over here and a leg over there. Oh, that's intestines of some innocent person. Oh, that's a woman who was shot in the face. Oh, that's a World Central Kitchen worker who was killed. Oh, that's a UN building that was blown up. Oh, that's a hospital that was attacked. Remember when the IDF dressed up as doctors and then stormed into a hospital and started killing people? That happened during the genocide. Just like the right to rape protests and things of that nature. And she has the nerve to say, oh, it's factually incorrect that it's a genocide. Excuse you? Bitch, who the fuck are you? Oh, my days. It's just, she's got to be fired, bro. This woman needs to be absolutely fucking fired.
Apply to what many people might think as a disproportionate wartime action. That's what that is in many people's minds. Genocide is a very specific thing. Actually, genocide being committed against Jewish people, not by Israel. And that's just a fact.
I mean, the United Nations recently in Geneva found that the IDF had deliberately targeted women and children. There's been famine conditions imposed over the Gaza Strip by the blockading of aid entering the Strip. There's been indiscriminate bombing of hospitals, of mosques, of churches, of...
Again, I'm going to have to stop you as that is factually not correct. But I...
She thinks it's just by saying it smugly. That is factually not correct. She thinks that, makes it so, sorry, you can't respond. I did the thing. Factually. This is the most live-streamed genocide of all time, and it's the only one that you are allowed to brazenly say shit like that, and there will be no consequences, none whatsoever.
Hear you talking about something very important to a lot of people, and certainly who think that way. But as a congressman, and I'm being told we have to wrap, but as a congressman for District 25, I'm hoping your viewers will be able to hear you flesh that out a little more, as well as the Medicare for All and universal education. And we'll see you on the other side of Tuesday. Thank you so much for coming in.
Oh my God. Oh, but it is definitely not a genocide, and it's disgusting to say that. And actually, the genocide's going in the other direction, and they're genociding the Jews in Israel, and that's what's that? Oh, I'm being told we have to wrap. We're not allowed to allow you to say such correct things on air, because that triggers us, and we don't like the truth. Bro, what are we doing? What is going on? Anyway, shout out to Oliver. What a ridiculous world we live in here, man. In a world that made sense, this woman would be fired and nobody would hire her again. She'd be socially ostracized for such clear genocide denial. But instead, that's not going to happen. And they're not even going to issue a correction. Even though, by the way, now there's a movement to try to get her to issue a correction. Because, all of the evidence is to the contrary. Like I said, you have official declarations of genocide from everybody who would know about genocide. And she's just gonna cover her eyes, close her ears, go, la, 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 I don't hear you, I don't hear you, I don't hear you. It's just pathetic. We all know this is because whoever this is a Zionist. And so just fully fucking brainwashed, all in with the alternate reality narrative. And their disconnection from reality has become genuinely disturbing to me at this point, right? How do you even tie your fucking shoes in the morning? How do you look at yourself in the mirror? I mean, it is grotesque what we're witnessing here. But shout out to Oliver. That was yet again a masterclass, and he's been really doing it great lately.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, guys, so they're getting desperate, bro. The Abdul hit jobs are getting pathetic. They're getting desperate. They got nothing on this guy, so they're trying to muck up whatever they can. So Fox News posted this. The internet has found a resurfaced Abdul El-Sayed campaign video And the Blues Clues-inspired pitch is getting roasted. El Sayed dances through the 1-minute parody while asking voters for their support, leaning hard into childhood nostalgia with exaggerated moves and playful refrain. Now the clip is spreading again as viewers debate whether it's clever campaigning or peak political cringe. This tweet is definitely written by AI, by the way, I can tell. El Sayed won Michigan's Democratic Senate primary on August 5th and faces the Republican Mike Rogers in November. So they think it is some sort of gotcha that they found this video, which they dug up, which they didn't dig it up. He fucking posted it. You can't, it's not dug up if he fucking posted it. What the fuck? Like, if I say some shit and then the next day there's an article in Fox News, dug up, we dug this up from Kyle Kalinske. Like, that implies I was trying to hide it. He's not trying to fucking hide it. He posted it. Oh my God. All right, here we go.
Here's the mail. It never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail. Mail. Thanks, mailbox. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. I wonder who it's from. Oh, it looks like my ballot. Brought to me by my Secretary of State. And with it, I can participate in democracy. The first day that I can turn this in is June 25th, but it has to be postmarked by July 21st. Or I can drop it off up until Election Day, which is August 4th. Thanks, Secretary of State. Thanks, mailbox. Votes could do, we can't do.
I mean, that's fucking adorable. Like, what do we get? Look, here's the thing. If you actually stand for some shit, like Medicare for all, like Abdul does, like ending the wars, not arming the genocide, then, like, you do shit like this and people go, yeah, that's fucking adorable. Like, what's the problem? Would this be cringe as fuck if it was coming from some soulless politician who's, like, just in there because of 3 corporations in a trench coat dumping a gargantuan amount of money into the race? Yeah, it would be cringe in that scenario. That's not Abdul. So this shit is fucking adorable. The other point that people make is, there's a reason why you see, like, you know, Zoran would do man on the street videos and, like, other clever little creative things, and Abdul does this, and, you know, it's an important point, but people have said they do this because there's this overwhelming, you know, Islamophobic sentiment among many in this country. So if you're a young brown man from a Muslim background, it's almost like you need to go out of your way to be like, I'm not scary, right? Like, I'm not scary. I'm not a bad guy. I'm not going to hurt you. Like, look at me. I'm being goofy and doing the Blues Clues thing. So it sends a message of like, nothing to fear here. Don't worry. And I thought that was a powerful ass point, bro. That like just working overtime to try to like fight back against the perception of like scary Muslim guy, right? Just like he did some ad with like a Taylor Swift song playing and him dancing to it. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence that like him and Zoran almost like went out of their way to be like, if anything, maybe I'm a little corny, maybe I'm a little cheesy, because it's just trying to counteract the whole, oh, scary Muslim guy. Like if they sounded like I sound on this show, I think they would scare some voters, right? But I get away with it because I'm a white guy. So I do think that that's part of the thing. But anyway, they dug it up. They didn't dug it up. He fucking posted it. And they think this is some sort of a gotcha, bro. This is not some sort of a fucking gotcha. And then, by the way, if I scroll down here, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it live. But I like, look at these. Holy shit, he's done. How did they find this? This isn't resurfaced. This campaign put it out in June, you fucking morons. I think we are way past cringe being a negative and it's Trump doing his fucking anti-transgender routine. This is what I was looking for. Okay, ready? Laura Loomer, the internet has found. No, Loomer Unleashed found it. I found it. That's why everyone is sharing our post. Fox News really hates me. It's wild. Oh my God, Laura. You're begging to take credit for something that was like a pathetic, embarrassing failure of a hit job. Like, if anything, you're actually like helping Abdul here, you fucking dipshit, you absolute moron. Like, what a vile, wretched, little repulsive cunt. Like, please give me credit for this thing that's not even a takedown, but I'm going to pretend is a takedown, and now I'm mad because Fox News took it for... As Evan points out here, Donald Trump raped people. Go look at the Katie Johnson allegations, okay? Go look at the E. Jean Carroll shit, which he has to pay for. By the way, the Supreme Court has now said a second time, bitch, we are not hearing your case. You need to pay $5 million to E. Jean Carroll. You raped her and you're civilly liable for it. You better pay the fuck up, okay? What are we talking about? Trump is in the Epstein file 1,000,000 times. We're going, oh, look at this cringe Abdul El Sayed video. Don't you want to continue to support the rapist and the pedophile and the war criminal instead? Huh? No, I'll take the slightly cringy, slightly cheesy fucking Muslim guy who's going to give everybody healthcare and stop warmongering all over the planet. Thank you very much. Call me crazy.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all. Bill Maher's show has just become a total shell of its former self. He's a complete mess. The show is a complete mess. They don't even know what they're doing anymore. They spend the majority of their time shitting on DSA, shitting on the left, propping up the right, trying to be like these enlightened centrist types. And it's a mess. So he invited on Andrew Cuomo because Andrew Cuomo was whining and crying and bitching and moaning, and it's all sour grapes, and Zoran kicked his ass in an election, even though Cuomo started with massive name recognition. So he invites on Andrew Cuomo specifically to whine and cry and bitch and moan about the rise of the DSA and the rise of the left. And the rest is hilarious. So here we go. Let's listen and we'll break it down as we go here.
You have these moderates who are just afraid of the extreme left. They're just afraid.
They are.
And when they start with this, well, we're a big tent party.
No.
That is a lot of crap. Big tent party meant all races, color, creeds, we're open-minded. But a tent is a finite object.
You know, Andrew, that's a good point. That's why you're no longer welcome in the tent. I say that because what hill did he die on? He died on the hill of continuing to arm and fund a genocide in Gaza carried out by Israeli war criminals. That's the hill that he died on. So if you want to take all the Israel lobby money in the world, if you want to fight until you're blue in the face to make sure that babies can get shot in the face, to make sure that people can be starved to death on purpose, to make sure that UN buildings can be bombed and World Central Kitchen workers can be bombed, then you're right. You know what? You're out of the tent. Because the fact of the matter is, what is it? Between 75 and 90% of Democratic voters support Medicare for all. You're right. People who are against Medicare for all, they shouldn't be in the tent, right? You're right. If 90% of Democratic voters support Medicare for all, I think that it's sort of outside of the tent if you're opposed to that. Also, you have the overwhelming majority of Democratic voters now also say Israel's committing a genocide and we don't want to arm them. We don't want to fund them anymore. I agree. It should be outside of the tent if you take the position of continuing to arm the most psychotic, dead-eyed war criminal psychopaths in the world. So I actually agree with his point, just not in the way that he says. He's trying to say we need to kick out the people with a conscience. We need to kick out the overwhelming majority of Democratic voters. That's what he's saying. He's saying let's keep appealing to the right. Let's keep appealing to Zionist war criminals. Let's go in that direction, and let's make the tent so small that it excludes the majority of Democratic voters. That's what he's actually arguing for.
It didn't mean Nazi sympathizers. You're welcome. Anti-Semites.
Name a single Nazi sympathizer or anti-Semite that's been welcomed in the tent. I know what he'd say. He'd go, Hassan Piker. But he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about with Hassan Piker. Everything that they try to use to claim to say he's a Nazi sympathizer or an anti-Semite is complete fucking bullshit. It's horseshit. I've seen 30-minute compilations on the TL of Hassan explaining how when we criticize Israel, we are not criticizing Judaism. We are not criticizing Jews. Jews are our brothers and sisters. We welcome them in the movement. They are leading the movement. We're criticizing a genocidal ethno-state that is not the same as Jewish people. But they're so desperate, it's just like, we don't welcome Nazi sympathizers and we don't welcome anti-Semites. Well, you know what? Again, in a weird roundabout way, I agree with you. The Nazi sympathizers I don't want to welcome are you. I view Zionists as Nazi sympathizers because you are sympathizing with what is effectively a new Nazi state, right? I think the argument Netanyahu uses is anti-Semitic, trying to link Israel and Jews together, trying to basically, by extension, blame all Jews for the criminal actions of the state of Israel. That's anti-Semitic as fuck. So yes, I also don't want anti-Semites and Jew haters and Nazi sympathizers in the tent. But that would be you guys. That would be the Zionists. Oh my God.
You're welcome. Abolish the police, close prisons, open borders, do away with the Constitution. That's not the Democratic tent.
My favorite part there is he says, people who want to do away with the Constitution, they're not welcome in the Democratic tent. Funny enough, this fucking asshole sucks up to MAGA like nobody's business. And they're the ones who are doing away with the Constitution. So if you're welcoming in MAGA voters, you're welcoming in people who want to do away with the Constitution. So again, you're violating the thing that you laid out as your own rule, you bitch. And the other point is, all the like, oh, abolish prisons, abolish police. These guys keep bringing it up. What did I tell you? All the critics of DSA are going to bring up the least popular parts of the DSA platform and hammer away over and over and over and over and over on that. What they won't do is tell you that most of the shit in the DSA platform is wildly popular. Universal healthcare is popular. Ending the wars is popular. Raising taxes on the rich is popular. Higher minimum wage is popular. More unionization is popular. They don't touch that with a 10-foot motherfucking pole, but they will hone in on the few policies that are outside of the bounds of the mainstream and not popular. It is a dirty, disgusting fucking trick. By the way, this is a guy who literally helped create a Democratic caucus to undermine the Democratic agenda in the state of New York. I'm not kidding about that. It was called like the Independent Democrats or something like that. And it was basically like the Republicans under the banner of the Democrats, and they were used to block left-wing policy in the state of New York while he was governor. That's what he did. So for him to lecture us about the Democratic tent, bitch, when you controlled the Democratic tent, you had Republicans in there running the agenda. Oh, my word.
But they are afraid, Bill, of the extremists. And they are placating them, and that is going to make the Tea Party of the Democratic Party, and that will make us a fringe party. We will defeat ourselves on this path.
Here's why I love this. That analysis was exactly incorrect because the Tea Party of the right worked. It ended with Donald J. Trump. They're getting everything they ever wanted. What are you talking about? It worked. They got it. They got their guy. He's in there multiple times. He's destroying everything. He's a fucking human wrecking ball. The Tea Party of the right worked. And here he goes, well, the Tea Party of the left is going to fail. Bitch, the establishment had their run so many times. And what did they deliver us? Donald J. Trump, right? So with the Democratic establishment out of the way and now the Democratic Tea Party leading the way, we're going to win too. Just like the Tea Party of the right won in their respect, we're going to win in our own respect. And so he gets it exactly wrong. Oh, we're going to be a permanent minority party. Our Tea Party is going to destroy everything. No, it's actually going to win. But that's what you're afraid of, isn't it? What you're actually afraid of is DSA and the Democratic Tea Party is going to lead to real solutions, real change. Now, you don't like the change because you're in a high tax bracket, right? But it's going to lead to real change. It's going to lead to democratic socialism, and that you can't have, because if that happens, what does that say about your legacy? What does that say about the legacy of all the diet MAGA Democrats, the corporate Democrats? It says you guys were always sellouts and you guys were always half-assed. That you guys never really were about what you should have been about all along, which is universal health care, higher wages, taxing the rich, redistributing to the people. Like, you never really were on the left, were you? And like, that's going to leave your legacy as one of a shameful embarrassment. And that's what you're actually against. You're not scared because the left is going to fail. You're scared that the left is going to succeed. And by the way, I say the same thing to the Republicans. They're not scared that DSA is going to fail. They're scared that DSA is going to succeed. Because if that happens, the last time we got anything even closely resembling, at least on the economic front, democratic socialism, what happened? I'll tell you what happened. FDR had 80% of the House, 80% of the Senate, and he won 4 presidential elections. This was before we had term limits. He won 4 presidential elections. The American people got a tiny little taste of democratic socialism, again, only on the economic front, because at the time, obviously, the policies were massively racist. That's a whole other conversation. Japanese internment, the treatment of black people, horrible. On the economic front, just a little taste of democratic socialism with the New Deal and those projects, with the social safety net. American people were like, oh my God, let's only have this forever, right? And now we're in a place in modern day society where we're going to demand economic change, but we're also not backing off on racial justice either. Now, we're going to deliver full equality and universal human rights, but we're also going to deliver universal health care and free college and a living wage. We're going to end the wars. We're going to do a Green New Deal. We're going to tax the rich. We're going to redistribute. We're going to do universal child care, paid vacation time by law, wipe out the medical debt. We're about to deliver on all this shit. And that's what you're fucking afraid of. So anyway, he's going to whine, he's going to cry, he's going to bitch, he's going to moan, because Zoran absolutely obliterated him, the so-called political dynasty, and he'll be remembered like a fucking fart in the wind. And that's why he's so upset. And he runs to Bill Maher's show with his 17 listeners who are left, who are all in a fucking nursing home, and he's, wants their sympathy. Well, they might give you their sympathy, but they'll also be dead within the next 5 years, so I don't know how much that's worth. All right, y'all, that's the show, man. Love y'all very much. You guys know the drill. Everybody like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. You can support the show on Patreon, link below. Sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. And, of course, go sub to Corn's World and hang out with us on Monday nights when we're live. All right, I love you guys, man. I'll talk to you soon. Everybody have a great rest of your day. I'm out. Peace.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.